Hi everyone, Marisa Stone here with Simon Says Social and the Systems Lounge, and I want to welcome you today to the 2018 Premier International Women's Business Systems Virtual Summit, where you get to learn all the systems that our speakers are using to get things done. And I am super excited to have Lucinda Harman here today. She is going to be talking with us about igniting your inner spark to celebrate you. And this is really important for a lot of us, and we're going to dive into why in just a few moments. But let me tell you a little bit about Lucinda. Lucinda runs on courage, passion, and determination. She is a true humanitarian at heart, pushing those limits and challenging the thoughts of those around her. She worked as a healer and a therapist for 11 years in her hometown of Cape Town, South Africa. And today she draws off of this experience as a transformational coach. In 2017, she founded Voice Your Power and Global Women Unite. Voice Your Power is a community that truly empowers women to free themselves from a past of despair and silence in order to live their life with purpose and meaning, which I absolutely love. Global Women Unite is a space for uniting female coaches, leaders, healers from across the globe with this common vision of transforming the world. Their motto, together we can move mountains. Lucinda truly believes in a balanced and very holistic approach to living her life. And today she's going to talk with us about igniting your spark to celebrate you. Lucinda, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to the summit.
Thank you, Marissa. It's really great to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Yay! So let's kind of begin at the beginning. What are we talking about when we say ignite your spark to celebrate you?
This is really about kind of comes from my own experience of my life, you know. And when I started looking into my own life and changing my life around, I realized that my own spark was missing out of my life. You know, it was about I wasn't. You know, if you think about the eons of society, if you go around, you're kind of in a very gray kind of area and you're under the cloud and life's very dreary and you kind of in existence. A lot of people are living they're just existing. They're not living. It's kind of like that holiday they kind of wait for, that or going retail shopping is kind of the only excitement, but it's not every day bouncing out of bed, you know. And when we sparked up, when we revved up, when we fired up as human beings, we're very contagious, you know. And it's really important for us to have that life force literally flowing through in us. And it's so important to have purpose and to have meaning and to have dreams and to be every day working towards something great in your own life. Because otherwise, if it's just an 8 to 5, or you just feel like you're caught up in some washing machine of life, life just doesn't have that oomph that you really want it to have.
Right, and I totally agree with that. So let's apply this to entrepreneurship for a moment. Why should entrepreneurs be concerned with igniting their own spark to celebrate themselves?
Well, you know, people buy from people.
Yes.
It's such funny that you can have the most awesome product out there. You really can. But if you're just not positive and you don't actually kind of believe in yourself and you're not kind of into it, people are going to think, what the heck? I mean, I really believe that sometimes people spend a hell of a lot more on a service because they just like the people and they actually just kind of get a good feeling. And it can be, you know, cheaper. And sales, I was always told that word is such a swear word. You can't say that word, but it could be more cost effective would be the correct word. But no, it was such, we used to get so slapped in sales when we ever said the word cheap. You know, cheap is for the budgies kind of thing. It's so important to remember that people want to be associated with winners and people want to be associated with positive thinkers. And as an entrepreneur, you also need to stand out from the crowd. You know, if you're being dreary and you're just getting along with things in an average way and you pick up your phone in a way of like, and everyone's doing that kind of, and everyone's too busy and everybody's too engrossed in their lives, that person that's fired up, that person that's got energy, the person that actually really wants to do business with you, the person that cares to actually find out a bit about you, that person's going to be the person that gets the business. And
absolutely.
And you've got to love what you do.
Yes.
And you've got to value yourself. You've got to have worth in yourself and your product. You've got to believe in this product like with all your heart, because these days there is competition out there.
Yeah.
And if we want to be in business, hopefully we in business succeed and not just have a kind of just make it or scrape it. Hopefully we're there ready to do well.
And I love that you say that, like really truly being passionate about what you do is what this is all about. Like if we're not in a place where we're passionate about what we're doing, maybe it's time to kind of rethink what we're doing and figure out where our passion truly lies. So one of the things that you work with your clients on is what you call these inner judgments and dialogue. I know many of us face these inner judgments and dialogue. How do you help your clients move away from judging and create a dialogue that's healthier and is going to help them truly ignite their spark?
I always do an assessment. I'm very big on questionnaires. So I'm kind of privy always to starting with people. As a client, I'll always send a questionnaire. And my questionnaires are quite, they're fairly good. I mean, they bring out everything you need to know. And I mean, when I work with a client, there's so many tools and skills and practices that I've learned over a lifetime that I pull them up from my sleeves like a little magician, pulling things out of their sleeves all the time. But I look at things like basics. I start with. I'll look at if I hear you moaning and you're complaining and you're making excuses. Oh, I'm going to put you on a very quick 2-week or 30-day kind of cleanup session. And then I start looking at the mind chatter, the negative talk that I'm kind of following, and teaching turnarounds. Turnarounds are so important that you learn right from the beginning. The most important thing is awareness, and then knowing exactly how do we look at it, because judgments always they start externally. If we look at that, where do judgments? We didn't just get born and decide to judge ourselves.
Right.
Because always say we're kind of born pretty perfect and everything's great, and then all this stuff starts happening. We spend the rest of our lives trying to undo all the stuff. But
right.
The issue is it starts externally, and then we become our worst critic and our own enemy, because we start believing all the stuff that was told us. A lot of it came because of other people's perceptions and their own baggage, their own stuff, and they start dumping and they start. It's a really messy game. And then the problem is we start believing it, and then we start attaching this kind of negative slant on ourselves, and we don't separate from it. And the thing is, we almost get like a what is that word that we always talk about? You almost get I can't think of that word now. It's almost like a button, you get this little press button that immediately something happens and someone says something. Now, if we didn't have an issue, it wouldn't affect us. But because we've really got that sore point in our lives, it starts immediately tripping it up. And it's really important when any doubt, any judgment starts, because, I mean, give me a simple one. Give me a judgment and I'll quickly play a game with you. Give me a quick one.
I can't possibly run this online summit.
Okay. So we look at it and we say, now what you basically, the biggest fear is you cannot run it, and all what you don't have. Like, what is the don't haves? I'm not good enough, or right. It's not going to sell. It's not going to be this, and it's not going to be that.
Right.
Then I say, well, what do you want? I mean, what do you really want out of this? You want successful, don't you? You want to be.
I want to empower women. I mean, that's my goal with this summit. I want to empower women, and I want to reach as many women as I can so that they can get the systems that they need and start putting them in place to change their lives. That's my goal.
And then I'll immediately go into, so how does that feel? Because when we're stuck in our heads, and I often go, mindset's all good and well, but I always shift people from mindset straight into their heart. So I always say, so how does it feel to have that?
It feels amazing. It makes me very happy to be able to do that.
Yeah. And to celebrate that, to get to the end degree and say, it's cooking. And I mean, I've got out there and everything it's just gone crazy. People know exactly what, next year I'm already fully booked. And you start building up such a positive presence around you. And that's always important to do. When you get in a negative slump and you start in that negative context, to turn it into that you actually get on fire for the fact of, what are you doing? And it's such a belief that you can change this and you can do exceptionally well in your life, because we're going to get the questions just now about what stops you, What is stopping you from actually getting there? You know,
Mm-hmm.
who is it that stops you? There's only one person that stops
There's only
us.
one person. Yeah, and I love how you bring that back home, right? You're, you know, all of this baggage that you're carrying around, all of these inner judgments are things that other people have put on you, and they did not begin with you. And so by recognizing them as what they are, it's going to be a lot easier for me to move away from them, right? So one of the things that you talk to your clients about, or you ask them, is do they really value themselves and do they value their business? And you tell a story of when you didn't value yourself. Would you tell us that story so we can understand what you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at my life, I went through a very rocky 2-3 years when I basically lost everything in my life. And I was kept on trying, because I'm a typical entrepreneur. I was trying all sorts of things all the time. And to be honest, it was easier to do the external stuff, like selling something that belonged to somebody else. Was way easier. I sold moonshine. You'll know in the States what moonshine is. So I sold moonshine easily. I flogged it everywhere. It was easy. It was alcohol. It was in a bottle. It had no personal relation to me. It wasn't me. It wasn't it was nothing about me personally.
Right.
But as soon as I got into my own products, like I created a board game and I was the uplift coach. But because it wasn't aligning with me, because I was play acting this clown and this happy person, but on the inside, it wasn't me. I was actually a fake. So immediately, every time I went out there, people were picking up that something wasn't right. And I didn't believe it either. I kind of wanted to do it, but I was in such a bad space, and I wasn't really, I didn't have any self-belief, self-value, and self-worth at that stage. Mm-hmm. And I created this board game that cost me a fortune. I had magnets made for cars. Oh yeah, I did the whole toot. Business cards I went around giving everyone smiley faces around the town, and I traveled even with it. But because at a very deep level, I didn't believe in myself, and no matter what I was going to do, it kept on projecting outwards. So if I walked in a place, they could pick up that I was iffy. I didn't have clarity, and I didn't really know what the heck I was doing in my life. I was kind of in this weird space of doubt, uncertainty. I was crashing, and I was kind of scrambling for anything, but I hadn't spent quiet time to really get to the bottom root of what was really taking me down. So I was kind of scrambling on a superficial level, and that's when, for the first time in my life, I had so many unsuccessful businesses, because I've had a number of very successful businesses, but I ended up in a 3-year spell where I probably went into about 4 or 5 possible businesses, and I just fell apart. And it really came down to that within myself at that point.
Yeah. So this is an important question then for entrepreneurs to ask themselves, right? Would I invest in my own product? Would I buy my own product or service? Would I invest in me? What if the answer to that question is no? Where does a woman go from there?
Well, that's what happened to me. I was with a coach, and we were asked those questions. I refused to answer them. I kept on skirting past them, not. And the one day I said, right, there's the mirror, and I do a lot of mirror work, and I coach a lot with it as well. And I sat with it and I said, right, now today you're not going to eat, I'm quite good like that. I will tell myself I can have nothing, no treats, nothing good until I get over something.
Wow.
And I've done 24 hours where I haven't eaten because I hadn't done what I did. And I really was strict about it when I wanted big breakthroughs in life. And it's so important when you get to those questions, because it can tell you, your ego is going to tell you, oh, of course I'm cool. But when you go down into the deep introspection, you say, really? If now you had to spend, and I mean, some coaches and people out there, the prices of it depends on what you're in.
Right.
But would you invest in yourself? If you had to now go to this person and you're your client now, and you're looking back at yourself, would you believe in this person in front of you? Would you take their advice? Would you go for it? And it becomes a brutally honest question. And it's probably the most important thing that happened in my career was when I answered those 2 questions. It probably was one of my biggest turnaround points. And then I looked at my product and I said, what? The biggest load of not a chance. And I went, what? How can this be possible? And I was horrified. I had to go back to the drawing board and go right back. And I said, you know what? If you're going to build something on this horribly murky, cracky, breaking down house, you are going to fall later on. So let's just do it all one time. Let's let everything go to the ground. Let's restart building on a really firm foundation.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a big joke about me in a lot of the groups that I circulate in. There was a 3-month period where I sat on the kitchen floor every night, and it was winter here, which is like -5, and I ate popcorn. And I got to a thing about I wasn't going to get myself, until I got to the answer I wanted to know, that I would invest in myself and I invest in my product. And I told you I can be very strict. So it really is a thing about do yourself a favor here and now and get to those 2 questions, because if you really are in it and you can say yes to both and very clearly and with no, you're only lying to yourself. And rather go back to the beginning, even if it means redoing a website. I redo it all, website, title, logos, everything had to be done. And now I'm on a very firm, very firm ground. So it was worth it, even though it cost me a lot of months of my life. But it's a worth thing for every woman to go and do, is to go back and look. Yeah.
And I completely agree with that, because now you're aligned with, your passion and your purpose. And that's really, I mean, life is too short not to be aligned with your passion and your purpose. It just really is. So I know we're coming to the end of this interview, and I can't believe it because I don't feel like we've been talking long enough.
Wow.
But before we go into our deeper dive later on, is there anything else that we need to know right now about igniting your spark to celebrate you?
Like you said just now, we only have one life. And do you want to live your life kind of in a hell or heaven? Do you want to live your life kind of just humdrum existence, or do you want to have an exceptional life of life purpose? I mean, my big thing is seeking out your legacy, which you leave for generations to come. What are you doing with your time? What are you doing with your life? Are you excited? Because if this is not exciting you, if you're not on fire, if you're not feeling completely in love with this life, then you know what? Yeah, there's only one person that can change it, and it really begins with you. Yeah. And my guess is that we all want to be celebrating ourselves, and we want to have an awesome life. And it really comes down to that spark, that thing that gets you going. If you're lacking it, if you're not feeling it, if you're faking it, if you're carrying masks and pretending to the world that you're really cool and everything's great, but inside you feel like it's not, now's the time to do the hard graft and to turn that around. So you can actually have the life you do want. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So before we let you go, how can people reach out to you if they want to talk to you more about this topic of igniting their spark, if they want to maybe access some of your resources or perhaps even work with you? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, to divide it up, my Facebook, I mean, that's one way to find people so easy these days, this day and age, is Lucinda Harman. You can find it anytime anyway. And I do quite a bit of my speaking work on there as well, because I want to, the people there often are they're people that hide out there that often need the message. And then also my website, which is lucindaharman.com, so it's pretty easy. And then Voice Your Power is a business page, my Instagram, and then my Voice Your Power group for women. But that goes a little deeper into women that I haven't got a voice. It's when you really realize your life is really snarled up and you're lacking your power, because my work's very much about bringing women to find their peace and power, and the power and the peace. So it's really about getting women to another whole level of freedom and getting them beyond the past stories or anything that could be trapping them. So that's where people can find me. And I've also got the exciting lead magnet that I have called Rediscover You, which is a good 11-minute video that gets you to just love yourself, and it really gets you to find out who are you. And it also builds on a lot of the work of deep gratitude that I do and appreciation for yourself, and then for this world, actually the life, what you do have, what is going right in your life. So it's like taking a super booster, and it's practices that a lot of the clients that I work with keep in their lives forever. It's something that they do in the shower, in the car. They take this and they often do little videos and things and send them to me and go, woo! It's never, ever been on rock and fire like it has since I did this work. So nice. That's a giveaway and a gift I give with all the love in my heart. It was made with love, and I generously give that out the world. It's completely free, so it's out there.
Thank you so much. Guys, definitely click on those links below. You will find them right below this video on the speakers page. Definitely take advantage of some of these resources that Lucinda is offering you today so that you can find your own spark to ignite and celebrate yourself, because it's so, so important for every woman to be able to do that and be able to share in the things that she loves so that she can serve her tribe while up-leveling her business. If you are part of the All Access Pass, stick around because we are going to be diving much, much deeper with Lucinda in just a few moments. If you have not yet picked up your All Access Pass, there is a button below this video that you can click on that'll take you straight there. And inside that All Access Pass, not only do you get access to all of these live videos that you're watching right now, but you also get access to these much deeper dives that I'm taking with every one of our amazing speakers. So you do not want to miss that one. Lucinda, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And guys, we will see you inside the All Access Pass. Bye, everyone.